right, everyone. You are currently listening to TKM CoHost Podcast's very first episode and our first interview today. My name is Avery Karkash, and today I'm sitting down with realtor and the face of her own team at Skogman Realty, Monica Hayes. I want to thank you so much for being here, Monica. It is our pleasure, absolutely.
Thank you for the invite. And what a compliment to be your first episode. That's amazing.
Yes, absolutely. You know, it is one thing to think about the line that's potentially behind you, but we are more than excited to have you as our first. We have a little bit of personal background together, so I'm so excited to have you here and to get to talk things through today, kind of introduce you to the world a little more.
Wonderful.
So the plan is definitely to let you talk about yourself as well today. But to help lead into this interview for, again, any of those listeners out there who might be being introduced to you for the first time or might learn something new today, Monica and her husband, Jason, work together closely in the real estate world, but are also married in the real world as well. So if I'm understanding correctly, I have it down that you would have celebrated your 10-year anniversary last October.
That is
that's
correct.
Congratulations on that. That is huge.
Yeah, we get to work together and still stay married. I think that's the key. But yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. As far as just having a delicate life and work balance, I think that from what I've seen, you guys seem to be a great team. So
we definitely try. We are. Yeah, that balance is something that we have to work at. And
absolutely. Work in progress.
Definitely. And to be able to leave a work conversation behind and then try to transfer over to a marriage conversation or just put things behind and have fun in our marriage can be challenging. And so
absolutely,
you have to put that at the forefront to make sure that your boundaries stay where they should be.
Right. Yeah. Would you say, I guess more specifically, me personally, I'm very logistical. Timing is so important. Is there just a certain time of the day that you shut off work? You guys decide together that, all right, from this point on, no more.
Pretty much when we go to bed until we wake up. But no, and I think part of that comes from the real estate lifestyle. I mean, we're working when other people need us. And so there aren't set hours to our business day. And so, no, that would be the answer to that. But maybe penciling in our calendar to make sure that we do have a date night or time that we know we're going to schedule a way that we can focus on our personal relationship instead of always being work. Mm-hmm. The other thing is we really don't see each other that much. I mean, sure. our jobs are very different, even though we're working in the same business together.
Right.
So there'll be days where I'm gone pretty much most of the day or passing each other as I'm coming home, he's leaving. So
yeah, probably relying on each other too to handle certain things. And a little bit into the interview, I was going to dive into Jason's background with being an electrician, and am I right hearing he was a master electrician by, was it 13 or 15?
15, yes.
That is so wild. Good for him. And you know, to be able to have that background kind of at such a young age, I imagine a lot of it's just embedded within him. And I guess working alongside him, do you feel like there are certain things that you set aside, like Jason's the expert for this?
Oh, definitely. It's been the best part about having him and a team, really. Like, everybody has their strengths and weaknesses. And one of the things that I'm so fortunate to have is that pretty much my weaknesses are Jason's strengths. So it makes us a great team. And, you know, he has a great business background in addition to his construction background. He has a degree in business. That is not necessarily who I am. Sure. I'm the creative, love people, be out there.
Yeah.
Talk about taxes, talk about payroll, talk about budgeting. Like, that's not something I have a whole lot of interest in, but you're forced to do when you own your own business. Yeah.
Owning your own business. Absolutely. Yeah. And I guess just to take it even a step further, I know personally from working with you guys and knowing you for a little while here, that you guys have also like flipped homes, I guess, like remodeled and done that on your own as like a hobby or so.
Yeah.
That is super neat. And I hear, was it 3 houses that you've done together so far?
We have. And even in that process, like he has his strengths in it and I have my strengths. My dad was in construction when I grew up, so
Really?
trim carpentry and the design and, being able to lay flooring or do tile are things that I enjoy, and he is much more mechanically minded.
Sure.
And so,
I'm sure you're both very detail oriented too because of that. Siding can be easy to walk past and not take a note for, but it's definitely marked, at least when you're going inside of these open houses,
right?
From what I've seen. So, yeah, I guess with flipping the homes that you guys have done in the past, what has it been like, really, to see a space for the first time, kind of imagine what it could be, and then help make it come to life?
Mm-hmm. I think that's something that you either have the talent to be able to see that or not.
Sure.
And every time we walked into a house, I have ultimately said, nope, this is the one. Like, it takes me a real short amount of time to know
decide.
and to visualize what it can be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been really great. We have bought a house that the current owner had been in for like 62 years or something like that. And so
Sure.
that was fun to bring to an update. We bought a foreclosure that was in a lot of work and tore out walls and, opened up kitchens and that sort of thing. So
Yeah, it's at least my personal opinion, I feel like it would be one thing to just imagine the space being different, I guess, without breaking walls down. But then as soon as you introduce opening the space in a certain way, it's the best way to make a space look completely transformed. And you're allowing, at least I assume you guys probably eventually, did you sell these homes after you flipped them?
we did. We lived in them though while we did it. So it wasn't just buy a property, flip it and sell it for profit right away. We lived through the remodel in each one.
Sure. It probably shows you a very practical sense of like, hey, we're missing something right now. Maybe we should add one more thing.
Yeah.
Was there any of that too?
Sometimes that was a sink when you're washing dishes in the bathtub. But yeah, I think it does help you to get a little bit of an idea, and even more so to appreciate it and maybe stay on top of it a little bit more because you just want to see that end product. And
yeah, and it's not just really for you, I guess, in those more final moments.
Right.
I guess I imagine you would be thinking about the person after you as well and stuff. Yeah. I guess if a person out there, I know there are a lot, just like me in particular, who aspire one day to maybe buy and flip a home or a property. Would you say that there is a specific point of advice that you would give to a person if you could only give, I guess, one point of advice? Like, what is one thing that you would have wanted to know getting into it?
I think it's developing that eye for the buy and being able to be patient and wait for the right property that comes along, because it can be a numbers game when you're talking about the flipping side of it and being able to get some good return on investment. But being able to find something that is going to be priced right, that you're going to have the things there that you can't change, like the yard, the location.
Sure.
Not planning to spend, $200,000 on a house where the top price range in that neighborhood is $250,000, so there's the business sense side of things that you have to really be careful with. And then just also not going crazy on things that are just your opinion of decor, and trying to keep things somewhat neutral and not too trendy, because you're trying to attract buyers too, and you can't get too far one way or the other.
Absolutely. That's that same thinking more about than just yourself, I guess, for lack of a better word. But yeah, so that's amazing to hear. And I would love it too if I could kind of ask you, maybe just get a quick inside scoop into like what you've been up to recently with your job day to day. What have you been up to lately?
So this weekend marks the busiest real estate weekend typically for me of the year.
Really?
Tomorrow is match day in Iowa City. And so all the residents coming in are finding out and then they're scurrying to find housing. So
Sure.
we've been ramping up, making sure our listings that are in that price range are on the market for this time so that the greatest number of buyers are out there for them.
Yeah. And really quick, I guess for anyone out there who is not knowing what matching time is, I guess, is that for like the college students in the area or I guess, could you explain that?
Yep. Thanks, Avery. So, match day is when the residents at the University of Iowa medical program
Sure.
match for University of Iowa being the place that they're going to be doing their residency. And that's typically a 4 to 5 year position. So knowing that they're going to be there for that long, for the most part, it's pretty automatic for them that they know they need to purchase a house instead of renting during that time. Financially, that just makes the most sense for them. So
Sure. Yeah. And, to hear, I guess, you having the understanding that this week is always or potentially always one of your busiest, that would be nice to have a little bit of consistency there, I guess, to be able to plan annually. And I was planning to talk a little bit about springtime as well, as far as like, I know you and I are both native Iowans growing up here. And me personally, I've always felt a very big rush of just excitement and energy whenever the sun's back out and it's springtime and it's like life is beginning to happen outdoors again. Alongside, I guess, what you've already mentioned, is there more what you do to prepare for just spring market in general?
Yeah.
Year by year?
Yeah. Well, we are usually in the early part of the year, kind of finishing up numbers from last year and getting our marketing material ready for this year and just reaching out and meeting with our sellers, meeting with buyers ahead of time, because if you're going to list, that typically isn't just an overnight thing. It's can be months of process
Sure.
with us working with our sellers in order to get it to be in their homes, to be in a place where they're going to sell for the most money in the easiest way. That's our goal for them. So,
Yeah.
and then buyers, because it's such a competitive time of year for buyers, we need to be coaching them ahead of time and making sure they understand what the market is going to be like and what the process is, because otherwise, this time of year, in a first-time home buyer situation, you may be walking into a house, an offer comes in, and you have 15 minutes to say, yes, this is the house we're going to make an offer on, or not. And that's really hard to do for people if that's the first house they've looked at and haven't had any of that coaching ahead of time. So really like getting our buyers to get their game on for spring market, and then the sellers to have their house in game time mode as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the idea of that being, because I feel like for anyone out there choosing a home, whether it's your planned forever home or not, it's a huge step, right? And it's something that, at least me personally, I would take probably a lot of time with. But it's interesting to hear you say that, it's best probably to have a plan ahead of time of what you're looking for. That way, when it comes up and you need to decide in 10, 15 minutes or so, you can kind of go through with that. So, benefits of being working with a realtor versus doing it on your own. Right. Honestly, that would be a good one, I think. And another thing I know that is just pretty big in really any career out there, any field, as far as just giving a genuine impression off to clients that you work with. I think there's a huge benefit to that. Do you feel like that it's helped you working in the state that you grew up in, as far as being an Iowa native?
Yeah, the Iowa nice. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
I think really, though, one of the things that helped me be successful as a realtor has been my history with social work. Sure. And really just listening to people, helping to discover what their goals are, whether it's their goals for buying or their goals for selling, and then finding a way to help them accomplish that. and really just making it about their process and their goals. And I always say, we provide the information, they make the decisions. And this isn't my house to sell, but I will give you what your choices are and what I think buyers are going to want. And then you decide. And however we can help you get from the moment you decide what you want to do to closing, we're there for that too.
That's awesome. And it's a very, in my opinion, a very, I guess, in-depth like relationship that you build with each of these clients, because I mean, they're trusting you with so much. You're trusting them in ways as well. And I just got to mention quick for any listeners about the backstory with me and Monica here. So this past year, I would have been working in the real estate market as well. And I just have to throw one more compliment out there, Monica, that from what I experienced personally working with you and your team just as a whole, you guys honestly have always been just one of the above and beyond most prepared names that I would be so grateful to see, like when we would book work together and collaborate on things. It was always nice to be able to show up to a house. My particular example, I would do photos and video typically of homes. And Monica, anytime I worked with Monica or her team, I just want to vouch for you to say that you guys were on top of it always.
That's
and that was
great
super,
to
super
hear.
nice.
Thank you.
As far as like, clients themselves getting to meet you and have relationships with you in the future, I can tell you at least from another, what's the right word? Not vendor standpoint, but another person in the field standpoint. It was great to get to collaborate with you and everything too that way.
Great.
So
Great. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to take you back quick to when you would have been first starting out as a realtor. Do you feel like it took you some time to really get acclimated and find like a personal style to the way you do what you do, I guess?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think people have this perception, and I did too. I think almost everybody does coming in like, oh, this is going to be a fun job, and we're going to show houses, and I get to see all these cool houses, and that's about it. And you don't think about all the other stuff, like, well, where are you going to get your clients from, and how am I going to run a business? And so it really took me like pulling on my experience of the past of how to market, how to find people, what am I good at?
Yeah.
Because I wanted it to just be natural. Yes. And be able to be myself. And I can remember early in my career, I had a couple and they're like, why do you think that you are succeeding the way you are? And I said, I think it's because I came from a social work background, and to me, I was making $30,000 a year probably at that time, and that was a lot of money. And to think about the amount that people were going to be paying commission for the work that was going to be done, like that's a lot of money for people. And so to be able to understand that and know that you need to work hard for that money, and if you don't, you're not going to be successful with it. And so I think just coming from that frame of mind and understanding where people are was really important.
Absolutely. That personal connection can give you a little bit more of an insight. Absolutely.
And so I didn't really answer your question to begin with. I guess, like, how did I find what I wanted to do? And really, I just looked at what is it that I love. And I had been working in hospice care for 15 years. I knew that I loved that generation because it was mostly a senior generation that I had worked with, and just wanted to continue to help them in just a different way now. And so it was a pretty easy transition for me to figure out that that was the niche I kind of wanted to feel. And where I had the resources, and you want to get referrals from people who know, like, and trust you. And I already had relationships with people who I felt knew, like, and trusted me. And I knew that I could, if they gave me that referral, I could take good care of their people. And so that was kind of how I went down a road of where to get started, at least.
Yeah, sure thing. And I love that because you're actually trailing right into my next question already here. So I was just going to ask you, because of, or I guess alongside what you've mentioned with your past experience within social work, I have it down in my notes that you also have a certification as being a senior real estate specialist that was given to you in 2013. I was going to ask you, what exactly does that title mean for you and for any of the clients, I guess, that you work with?
So the National Association of Realtors has different designations where if you do some extra studying, take classes, pass tests, you can gain certification. And the Senior Real Estate Specialist one is the very first one that I went after it because it seemed very natural. It was sort of the same thing I had been doing, helping people find resources. Oftentimes they would be moving from one house maybe to the nursing home or something like that because they needed more care. And so it was just helping in a different aspect. So I signed up to do the classes right away. Probably didn't learn actually a whole lot because I had been working in that field for so long. But they focus on, special needs of seniors, a little bit on some of the healthcare too, and the things that you need to understand about what their needs might be. Looking at the financial aspect of what their needs are.
Kind of more like the big picture, I guess, too. Yeah. I could see how that would benefit just across the board. I mean, there's no one specific demographic I feel like that you're designated to work with, jumping into a market and stuff. And, at least me leaving college initially and looking for housing myself, I had always experienced those moments where I realized, hey, this place for living is for seniors specifically. They have all kinds of housing out there that is senior specific. And so it would be really great to be able to be open and kind of an expert mind, I guess, in that field.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was also going to ask you here, what kind of alongside you getting started in the real estate market initially, what would you say it was like to work simultaneously, to learn to work simultaneously with the other professionals in the market? Like maybe somebody coming to like patch up a wall or fix something on the flooring. I guess, was Jason always kind of a go-to for that, or like?
No, he joined me about 4.5 years ago. So for the first 4 years or so, I was kind of on my own, but picking his brain about things. So I just went out and tried to meet people and, vet them a little bit because I wanted to make referrals of people that I trusted.
Yeah.
And so it's an important part of the business, and just kind of maybe giving people a chance and make sure they do a good job. And then you find the people that you click with and work really well with, and you have to build up that whole team of people.
Absolutely. And to hear the importance of referrals, of course, a lot of that's probably obvious, but I'm just curious, are there any particular referrals that get you more excited than others? I guess like if they come from a specific party or if they are about something in specific.
Yeah, I would say 2. 1, I always have my senior referrals from the people that I worked with for 20 years now.
Sure, yeah.
And then but one of the very best referrals are from my past clients, because you continue to be in that relationship for a long time. You know that they're satisfied and happy and trust you. And so it really is the biggest compliment when you have a past client who will refer a friend or a family member to you for business.
Absolutely. More than just real estate market, referrals are huge across the board. So I could totally see how your past would be pretty open with all the seniors that you would have worked with. What was I going to ask? Oh, yeah. So I was going to ask you next. So to my knowledge, I know personally that there is at least one more team member on your team that we haven't mentioned yet, not currently with us here today, and that is the smiling face of Jane on your team. So it has to be interesting, I would imagine, bringing new faces onto a team initially and seeing what individuals can bring forth with personal experience and style as well, really. Um, I guess, how would you explain what it was like starting out solo and then being able to choose a team of your own and put that together?
Yeah. So the biggest thing was that I probably had got to the point where I should have hired somebody way before I did.
Mm-hmm.
And Jane was kind of thrown into the position. I was just in a spot where I was like, I have to have help now.
Yeah,
and
in some way.
and there she was. And so she really independently took the role and was able to put some processes in place. And we have worked hard to develop systems, and she has just flourished about getting our transactions in order and making sure that nothing is getting dropped along the way. And then she is so wonderful in reading my craziness of the day that happens sometimes. And I'll call her and I'll be like, okay, do you have a pin? Because I have, like
Sure.
rattling off all these things. And she always takes it in stride. Like, okay, we'll get it done. We'll figure it out. And so just being able to have that person that I can count on, and really both of them, it's hard to,
Right.
I have just an amazing team that throughout the day, no matter what hurdle comes up, we can work together to get it figured out.
Yeah. And the feeling, at least the vibe that I always received was just always glass half full, real estate, like any market, I would imagine, just coming into it and expecting not everything to always be perfect, but just the idea that you're going to make the most of it, I think is super important and provides a genuine aspect kind of to you as well. So, yeah, on a side note, we've got a couple more questions here for you. Would you say that you are able to work with some of your more personal passions doing real estate work? I guess, and if so, what are some of those personal passions?
Yeah. So definitely, like we talked about my passion for seniors, and Jason has always said to me, like, most women, like, they want to cuddle babies and you just want to hug seniors. Like, you're
nothing wrong with
crazy.
that.
So being able to do that, and I did that a lot in hospice care and that love and that touch, but I had this whole creative side to me that was not maybe being able to be tapped into as much as I would have liked. And so now being able to put that together and having the creativity to stage and with the marketing and graphic design and just kind of being able to mesh those two things has been amazing. There'll be weeks that are long, and even after that, like, I still love this career. It's been so heartwarming for me, and being able to help people meet their real estate goals and just oftentimes taking new clients and turning them into friends and building that relationship on and on.
Absolutely. And I swear, I just get goosebumps hearing about those cool stories most times where clients will reach back and just, keep that relationship going because of it being so strong when it was created. I love that. And I believe I have heard in the past that you might have a side passion for gardening as well.
Well,
was that Jason or was that you?
I do enjoy it, although I have become not so good at it.
Yeah.
I used to have amazing flowers and landscaping, and I think time plays a factor in it now because
Sure.
They need love and they need water and they need time. And so I think as we continue to grow the team and add people to it, my hope is to free up some of that time so I can get back to those beautiful gardens and flowers again.
Yes. Just more than anything, just as a lighthearted question, I was going to ask if, because of this passion, if you ever kind of look twice at a lawn of a home that you're working with, like just, ooh, I wish that was this way.
We do that actually a lot in helping our sellers, because when you live in a house, you're there, you kind of tend to turn a blind eye to life passing by and what your house kind of becomes after you've been in it for a while.
Sure.
And to bring in that buyer's eye for people and help them to see what other people are going to see is something that's really important. So we have to be able to look for those things and think about what are the things they can change and gently help our clients get to a place where their house is market ready.
Yeah, absolutely. And thinking about that buyer's eye, I like that a lot because I imagine you have to put things through that scope quite often. Would you say, this is kind of related here, how would you say that the real estate landscape as a whole has changed for buyers, like over the past, 7 years that you've been doing this, with this massive growth online and presence being so much more prominent online?
Mm-hmm. So I think two things. One is just with the shopping online that people are making these decisions about, do I like a house or not, in 6 seconds, basically.
Sure.
And so being able to, two-part, one with sellers have their presence online with the amazing professional pictures that have been staged in a way that shows the house and not the stuff in the house, so that you can capture those buyers. And then having buyers also kind of get past the HGTV thoughts they have in their head
Sure.
that a house has to be perfect in order for them to buy it. And so both of those trends, just the fast-paced, hey, I'm going to make a decision quick about I like it, that comes from the internet, and then TV world with kind of steering and Pinterest and, everything.
Pinterest versus reality sort of thing.
So being able to work with buyers for realistic expectations too.
Yeah. I personally, obviously we've all lived through it, but to grow up very close with technology, it's great, of course, having all of these tools so close to your fingertips, and there's so much more that you can do and learn on your own, or so it feels that way. But yeah, just working within the market, I can tell from experience, it really is kind of a big just mesh. A lot of agents, you have to be conscious, I guess, of what tools are provided online and how accurate they actually are for buyers and sellers, and just being able to coach people through using those, I imagine, would be a pretty big part of it.
Yeah. The other thing that I really have seen and really just in the last few years, even more so, is just the difficulty to build relationships with people right away. Everybody tends to be, maybe putting in a lead online or something in, and how do you build that relationship through text message or email?
Sure.
However, that seems to be the preferred method of the people making those requests. And so trying to find that happy medium of respecting them, but building the relationship so that they can learn how you can help them and who you are, and build that trust, because, we don't get paid just by an hourly rate. So
right.
In order to make the business successful, you have to find ways to be able to do that so that in the long run, you can keep those clients and sell them a house.
Mm-hmm. And absolutely. And on a personal level, it's that helping them out, in the end, that is got to be just the most fiery emotion that people feel once they're done with the process, and the weight of it is off their shoulders. I imagine if I were a buyer, when I'm a buyer at some point here, I'll probably just be unloading all of that emotion, raw as it is, onto my realtor, and just gratitude. I could see that being very much a thing.
Yeah.
Stuff.
The real estate is just the real estate, but the process part of it, and first time home buyers, I love as well. I love the teaching part of it and walking them through the steps and educating them and having them feel so proud of their first purchase.
Yeah.
And so
kind of living vicariously through their emotion, I guess, too.
Yeah.
I love that too. Yeah. On the topic of feelings, I've got just a couple more questions here. do you feel like there was a particular moment or maybe a feeling in your life that you can remember that helped direct you, I guess, or inspired you to go down the path towards real estate?
Yeah.
Was it within your past experience? I'll let you answer here.
All right. I know where you're going with this one, Avery. So I guess, somewhat real estate has been a part of my life since I was young. My dad built houses when I was early elementary, maybe even before I started kindergarten. So we kind of grew up that way and being around the construction sites. And then my habit of remodeling houses started early with him too. And so we would be 5, 6 years old pulling nails out of boards and, getting a penny a piece.
Sure.
They bought a house that really needed a big remodel when I was in junior high, and we spent a lot of time tearing buildings down and taking wallpaper off on the weekends and finding all these things to keep us busy and painting and
the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
I imagine it would have just probably opened your eyes to the expansiveness of how much there is to it too.
And at the time I hated it. If you can imagine that how, a junior high girl wants to be spending her Saturday nights, but
right. Or at least being told to spend there.
Yep. And so, but now I look back and just the things that I was taught because of that and the skills that I have and then just the family time we were able to have together. At the time, you don't really think about that, but it's some of my best memories of my childhood. So
yeah, well, that is so cool, and it makes so much sense in my mind why you've kind of taken the path that you have, just based off of what I've heard you say today here already. So with my second to last question here, I just want to set everything aside really that I've asked you thus far. And I would just kind of ask the general question of what is your favorite part of being a realtor at this day and age, this year, this season?
This season. Oh, just one favorite part?
Okay. That's pretty narrow. Yeah. Favorite part of being a realtor, maybe in general first.
So the people, like young, old, all ethnicities, like just being able to work with a wide range of people. And
it's an open world.
It is. And living here and being able to work with the great people that are either in Iowa already or coming to Iowa and having their eyes just opened about what it is they're coming to, because oftentimes they have this notion of, oh, I'm moving to Iowa, and then being able to give them the tour of the town and tell them about all those things that make Iowa great.
Yeah.
And just seeing that change in them while they're here and then becoming excited and settling into a community that is just amazing and neighborhoods that people talk to each other and care about each other.
You can know your neighbors and there's, I guess there's something to be said for those families out there who've been in homes for 60 plus years, like you'd mentioned.
Yeah.
There are a lot of those. There really are. And I love that. So lastly, before we wrap things up, my final question for you here would be, what would you say is the best way, this is an easy one, for people to contact you for business or otherwise? Go.
All right. I think the very best way is probably to check out our website at monicahaysteam.com, because it has email, phone numbers. You can get a hold of us anyway that way. And we'll contact you however you want, whether it's email, a phone call, text message, you can get a hold of us. But monicahaysteam.com, and our phone number is 319-325-8659. And my email is really easy. It's just monica@skogman.com.
Beautiful. That is so easy. Monica, I want to thank you so, so much for being on our podcast and sitting down with me today. So I'll just have to mention, while we have updated the world here today with a little bit more about you, any of you listeners who are not already following Monica on social media, be sure to check her out on Facebook and Instagram. I know she's active on those. It's a great way to keep up with her latest adventures. I think a couple weeks ago, I saw, what was it? Some version of a TikTok that you had made. It cracked me up. And as many realtors as I'm friends with on social media, I always look forward to seeing your posts for that creative reason. So thank you so much, Monica. And with that being said, have a great day, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.